KUGAN CASSIUS for iFILM London. We are in the Matchroom. What is it? The back garden here? Is this what we call it? 'Cause it's not really a back garden, is it? My back garden don't look like this, Barry.
No, it's a sort of a mini estate. Don't worry about it, Cougs. You know.
Oh, pretty overwhelming, Barry.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I popped in today. Obviously, your son is wherever he's at.
Yeah, I get all the jobs when he's not there. You know, you won't want to talk to me next week when he's back, will you? I know that, but if he keeps slipping you that monkey a week, you'll be fine, won't you?
I know. Well, you going back on your word? You know you don't pay me. So.
I don't pay you. We're definitely not paying you, but no one's going to believe it, Cass. So it doesn't make no difference. Might as well go with the flow.
Is that your phone or mine?
No, it's yours, Coog. Very unprofessional.
Right. Without making attention to it, you can see who's someone.
Oh, my goodness me.
Yeah.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
Don King at this time of day.
First of all, great appearance on ringside the other day.
Thanks. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's like got a lot of people talking about various things. Some people agreed with what you said relating to things to do with Andre Ward. Some people didn't.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, all you can do is give your honest opinion of how you see it. I think that's what people expect. And as you get older, you do get more honest because you can't be asked to tell lies. So if I'm asked a direct question, I'll give a direct answer, and it's my opinion. I don't expect everyone to agree with it. I think, you know, we live in a democracy. You're entitled to have your own opinions. I think it was Voltaire that once said, "I fight with my life against the words you speak, but defend with my life your right to speak them." And that's the essence of all good television journalism.
I know, obviously, Carl Froch is. You're Carl Froch in the Carl Froch business, as people would say. Yeah. So you know, people can't really say anything about you wanting to promote your fighter as well. But do you still believe really that everything you said about Andre Ward? Because there were some things you said about Andre Ward that I didn't personally.
Oh no, I agree. But let's look at the facts.
Is it a bit harsh on Andre Ward to call it like to go in on him being?
No, listen, I'm probably trying also to see that he understands if he seriously wants to fight Carl, he's got to be over here. I didn't like it when he said to be a great fighter you've got to fight in America. I disagree with that completely. I think you're a great fighter on any planet on earth, any part of the earth. But you know, people got to understand, Coog, that boxing is a money business. You know, people talk about legacy and they talk about, you know, your reputation, the undisputed #1. I mean, these are all great things, but they're tough to eat. I've always looked at my responsibility, and I think Matchroom's responsibilities continued under Eddie, is first comes the fighter. Reputations, fans' wishes, all of that sort of stuff is secondary. First comes the fighter. And our job, because boxing is such a brutal, hard business, is to maximise the earning power of our fighters. Now obviously we've also got a relationship with Sky, so we've also got an obligation to them to deliver value for money fights. So it's a balancing act. But when I was critical of Andre Ward, I didn't say he wasn't pound for pound #1. He is. I didn't say he's not a very, very good fighter. He is. It's just that commercially the facts tell us that he's not a draw. You know, you can't argue against Froch against Andre Ward, 3,000 tickets at Atlantic City. You can't argue against Andre Ward fighting in his hometown with like 5,000 crowd. You can't argue on the rights fees that HBO pay for Andre Ward. I don't know what his biggest purse is, but he has never earned serious money in the world of boxing yet, despite the fact that he's very, very good. Now technically, as a fighter, he's hugely talented, extremely clever, but he doesn't necessarily make televisually great fights to watch. He's a spoiler, he's a holder, he's got moves, he can mug you off. He does all of this brilliantly well. But I was coming off the back of watching 12 rounds of brilliant boxing, which entertained not just real boxing fans, but entertained a wider boxing audience. And if boxing's ever going to be really mainstream money sport, we need to attract a wider audience, and fights like Froch and Kessler will attract a bigger audience. Clever fights, subtle fights, skillful fights may not, but they may satisfy the purists out there on the forums or wherever, and I hold my hands up and say, you're absolutely right, Andre Ward is a great fighter. And one day, when the money's right, when the fight takes place in the UK or HBO decide in America they're going to pay serious money, I'm sure Carl Froch would love to fight Andre Ward. Carl Froch has to be defended from himself, because Carl does believe in legacy. My job, or our job, is to put legacy to one side and make sure that the fighter comes first.
Even before Froch fought Kessler in the rematch, there was always a lot of talk about Froch fighting Ward in their rematch. And obviously he made some points the other day that he made previously about it's very simple from their behalf for you or your son or whoever from Matchroom to pick up the phone.
Yeah, of course.
Has there been any conversation?
None yet.
Why hasn't there been conversation?
Plenty of time. We're playing a game of chess. We're playing a game of poker. This is what big time promoting is all about. This is why there are so few real promoters out there, because they see the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that Carl Froch has now zoomed past Andre Ward in the commercial stakes. Now, once Andre Ward appreciates that and says, I'll come to England, then we'll have a look at it. But there is no rush on this because, one, we don't know what Kessler's going to do. Is he going to carry on? Is he going to retire? There's a lot of value in Kessler 3. Two is I want to see how George Groves does. I think he's an exciting fighter. I think he's going to be right up there in 9-12 months' time. De Gale's out this weekend. Going to see. We've got to look at everybody. We've got mandatories to think about. Is it Osterhausen for the IBF, or do we keep the belt? This is all the games that's being played out, and it's a very complicated scenario. But it still comes back to basics. What's best financially for the fighter? What's best for Sky Television, because we're a Sky TV fighter? How do we prolong Carl Froch's career in meaningful fights? There's a balancing act to have. Andre Ward is in the mix, but more than that, he's not clear favourite.
In a word, do you believe that Andre Ward is 100% prepared to face Carl Froch in the UK?
Yes.
I know you won't want to look at this, but if Carl Froch was to fight Andre Ward and was to lose to Andre Ward again, what does that do to Carl Froch's legacy?
It damages his legacy. Any loss damages his legacy. But, you know, again, with no one's disputing that Andre Ward is a very, very tough fight to win. It's also a tough fight to look good in. And we have to take all of these things in when we're looking at the pros and cons. And what will happen over the next few weeks, I think, me and Eddie, if I get invited, and Froch, because nothing happens unless Carl says yes, we'll sit down and we'll look at the scenario and we'll do budgets. And we'll say, this is how we see this one, this is how we see this one. Okay, I mean, Carl Froch is a pay-per-view fighter, so we've got to look at opponents that tick that box as well. And Andre Ward ticks that box, so that's a big plus for Andre. Now, is he going to price himself out of the UK? Conversations will happen because we have to present to our client, Carl Froch, our suggestions for going forward, and then he has to make the final decision. And Andre Ward will be in those suggestions, but it's a question of timing. You know, Carl Froch is probably not going to fight more than twice a year. So, who's the first one up in October, November? What's the situation with the belts? What's the situation with American TV? We've got to meet with HBO, find out how much do they want it to happen. If all the broadcasters make it clear that Andre Ward is the only fight they're interested in, Andre Ward's fight it is. But I think Froch now has got marketability. He's at another level. And commercially, he's certainly at another level to Andre Ward. And that's tough for Andre, with all his skills, to accept. I understand that. It's an ego situation. We've got to deal with egos as well. So it's an interesting time. I mean, it's great for Carl because 2 years ago, Carl Froch was a great fighter and travelling the world, fighting in the Super Sixes, and never really got the appreciation back at home. He's now getting that. He's getting sold out arenas. He's getting pay-per-view status. That's a massive, massive coup for Carl Froch. And he deserves it. So I just think it's a question of who the governor is, and the governor, commercially, is Carl Froch.
Moving on, obviously over the last few months there's been a lot made from Eddie's recent signings. Yep. Quite a few of them have come from the Frank Warren stable. Yep. And have continued to come recently with Kevin Mitchell, etc. That's been sort of turned on its head last week with one of your
Frampton
former
going the other way.
Going the other way. Yeah. Was you surprised to see that happen?
No, disappointed of course, because I like Carl and I think he's a great fighter, and I think I'm sorry for us to lose him, to be perfectly honest, and I'm sorry for Carl that he's not part of the Matchroom organisation. It just came to a decision. I think it came to a head because obviously Barry McGuigan wanted to be the promoter, or certainly involved in the promotion. And you know, it's so difficult in boxing because we made a policy decision when Eddie went back into boxing that we don't manage fighters, because we can't come to terms with our bigger business picture in mind. We can't come to terms with the fact that you can promote and manage the same fighter. I can't see as it ever leads to anything other than a conflict of interest, because how can you negotiate a fighter's purse if you're involved in the promotion of the show and stand to benefit financially from that? Clearly, if the fighter is shortchanged in his purse, then you make more money. You know, so it is a very difficult situation, but we made the decision. We knew that Barry wanted to be either co-promoting. We had no problems agreeing Frampton's purse, by the way, none at all. But we had a problem having Barry being involved in the show because we wanted to work with Barry McGuigan as manager of Carl Frampton, not as promoter. And Barry clearly had another agenda, and yeah, we wish him well, but disappointed to lose him because I think the boy's got huge potential.
Do you think that Carl Frampton can pick up where he left off with his last fight with Kiko Martinez in Sky and continue on to his new promoter and his
I think
new channel?
I think the boy's got a lot of ability. I think he's tough. I think he punches hard for his weight. I think he's world class. You know, I think he really is world class. I mean, we wouldn't have promoted him with as much energy as we did if we didn't believe in Carl Frampton. And the fact that he's not with us doesn't stop us, from a boxing sense, evaluating Carl Frampton and saying, good fighter, world class fighter, think he can box for a world title, may well win a world title. So I can't pay the boy enough compliments, but as I say, it's one of those unfortunate situations where we have certain rules at Matchroom which we don't change. We do not allow conflict of interest to spoil our business, and Barry was clearly wanted to be a promoter, which he is now. So he's now promoting Carl Frampton. As I say, I wish him all the luck, and perhaps one day in the future we'll see him again, who knows.
Is it possible that Matchroom may replace Carl Frampton with someone else that was in that weight division?
It's always a possibility. I mean, the thing about it is there's a very fluid market in boxers, and you know that boxers have got to look and say where's the best deal for them, because it's a short-term career. I mean, Mickey Duff once said, if you want loyalty, buy a dog, which I thought was a bit cruel, but sometimes you think, you know what, he might have been right. We won't talk to anybody's fighter who's under contract with anybody else unless they have terminated their relationships with that promoter stroke manager. And at the moment, we're very satisfied with the team we've got. But our doors are always open to quality. But it has to be legally enforceable that we are not interfering with anybody else's contract. So in the case of all the fighters that have left Frank, for example, they have terminated their agreement. Now, if Frank has a problem with that, which he may well do, and he may have a case, who knows, because I'm not party to all the information, it's for him to take out his grievance with the fighter who has terminated the contract. But no one can stop anyone earning a living in this country, and if a fighter comes and says, with his lawyer, I have terminated my agreement with my previous connections, here is the evidence of that termination, he is then, in our eyes, a free agent to talk to, but not until then.
You said that your door is open to quality. Why was I waiting outside for 10 minutes today then?
Because our door is open to quality.
I walked into that one, Barry. Just finally, there's been rife speculation this week that a potential David HAYE versus Tyson Fury fight is on the cards for later on this year. Do you know anything about this whatsoever?
Well, all I know is that we are very proud to promote David HAYE, but we don't manage him because we don't have a conflict of interest. So David is quite free to come to us and say, this is a fight I've made, can you promote it for us? And we would be delighted to. I think, as a boxing fan, Tyson Fury and David HAYE is a mouth-watering prospect, and I think it's a huge, huge fight.
Is that the biggest fight in heavyweight boxing at the moment?
Yes, yes, without a doubt. I mean, without saying who's the favourite, I mean, David probably goes into the fight as favourite, but without walking away from Tyson Fury, because he's done everything that's just been put in front of him. So there's a big suspense about that fight. Big lump, fast lump. You know, I mean, it's a hell of a fight to sell, and it's a hell of a fight to stage, and I think we'd be honoured to stage it. But the job You know, Adam Booth looks after David HAYE, and the two of them are a very tight team, and I think that's commendable. Tyson Fury is his own man, he's got his own team with him. You know, and if they can all get it together, we will not be involved in those negotiations. We are promoters. We promote fights, and we either make them if they're under promotional contract with us, or in some cases where they've got their own management, they will come to us and say, this is a fight we would like you to promote. Either way, we're happy to move with them, to go with us with the mood.
And in just a word, can you see the fight happening this year?
Well, I would have thought it was doubtful until Fury pulled out of Povotkin's eliminator, because now obviously Tyson Fury is ambitious, and I don't think he's lacking in self-confidence either. He sings a terrible song, by the way, but he's very entertaining. I love to watch him. He makes me smile. He brings excitement to the heavyweight division, and I think sensibly, if they want to make a serious amount of money, that fight can happen this year.
All right, Barry, listen, I took you away from your office, so I don't want to take too much of your time.
Well, this is probably the last time you'll talk to me for the next few months, because Eddie's back and you'll just throw me away like a used
I'm not
dish
going to
cloth.
lie, this is a possibility.
Yeah, this is more than a possibility.
No, we need to get you raw.
No, he'll start sulking. You know what he's like, silver spoon, always happens.
All right, Barry, and thank you very much for talking to iFILM London. And listen, we do generally look forward to speaking to you again, because people do ask to interview you more, so that's what we'll be looking to do.
Thanks, mate. Pleasure.
KUGAN CASSIUS with Barry HEARN here at the Matchroom headquarters for iFILM London. Thank you very much.